I got a really bad feeling about this week, and I don't say that lightly. I've been talking to people, I've been watching the movement and the messaging, and something is severely off. Now, what just happened, and nobody is saying this straight, Trump comes out swinging with a 48-hour ultimatum. Open the Strait of Hormuz, or we start flattening Iran's energy infrastructure. Power plants, oil, everything. Okay. Then Iran threatens to close the entire Hormuz Strait after Trump's ultimatum. Okay. Obviously, a huge level of escalation. So Iran doesn't fold. They don't blink. And they basically say, we're not negotiating anything. And now suddenly, Trump is saying, actually, we're having very productive talks. We're going to pause strikes. Hold on. Productive talks with who? Because Iran just came out publicly and said there are zero negotiations happening. No direct talks, indirect talks, nothing. So either it's one of two things. Someone's lying, or this whole thing is being played at a different level. Again, Iran is now threatening to lay mines across the entire Persian Gulf to shut down the strait. And if you don't understand what that means, that's going to make price of oil go to $200-$300 a barrel. We'll be paying $15 to $20 a gallon of gas. You're talking energy markets. Gas prices going nuclear overnight. Right? All of that happening. So they come back and hit with this. And then Trump folds. He says, I'm pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had over the last 2 days very good productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of all our hostilities in the Middle East. Okay. He then says that he told the Department of War to postpone any strikes. So they called his bluff, essentially. They called his bluff. And here he is talking about it.
We are now having really good discussions. They started last night, a little bit, the night before that. And I think they're very good. They want peace. They've agreed they will not have a nuclear weapon, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll see. You have to get it done. But
So, very stark contrast, right? Iran denies, this is from Forbes, productive talks hyped by Trump. Accuses him of manipulating markets. We're going to discuss that further later, but Iranian people demand complete and remorseful punishment of the aggressors. All Iranian officials stand firmly behind their supreme leader and people until this goal is achieved. No negotiations have been held with the U.S., and fake news is used to manipulate the financial and oil markets and escape the quagmire in which the U.S. and Israel has trapped itself in. So, obviously, there are no direct or indirect talks taking place with the Trump regime. Trump is simply back down. Now, the thing is, he's put himself in quite the predicament. Because whenever you state a threat and you don't hold to that threat, you become a paper tiger. Okay. Obviously, after Iran started publishing this, the American news media is like, who have you been discussing it with? Well, here he is trying to explain it here.
Speaking with Mr. President.
A top person. Don't forget, we've wiped out the leadership phase 1, phase 2, and largely phase 3. But we're dealing with the man who I believe is the most respected and the leader.
I believe. That's not a good thing for a president to say. Well, we're talking about war at the nuclear level.
It's a little tough. We've wiped out everybody.
Is that the Supreme Leader?
No, not the Supreme Leader. We don't. Well, nobody heard of the second Supreme Leader, the son.
Are these direct?
Nobody. We have not heard from the son. Every once in a while, you'll see a statement made, but we haven't. We don't know if he's living. But the people that seem to be running it, and they seem that based on really fact, because things they've said have taken place.
Mr. President,
Again,
Mr. President, I know you've deployed.
because I don't want him to be killed. Okay, I don't want him to be killed.
Mr. President, you've deployed.
Nobody wants to be that. Nobody wants that job right now. You know. To solve that problem.
But again, media after media coming out of Iran saying that's not true. While all this quote unquote peace talk is supposedly happening, we are sending Marines by the thousands. Okay. We're talking complete amphibious readiness groups, MUs, guys who do this. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about roughly 8,000 boots moving into position. Okay. There, you know, when you're on a MU, there's no training like shipboard training, I'm telling you, but they're training, keeping the razor sharp. But the problem is I just don't think it will be that easy. I wouldn't say moving this many Marines is diplomacy. It's not de-escalation. It is pre-staging. Maybe one MU to go sit off the coast. I mean, you do that a lot as a MU to go try to like intimidate. They'll put you there and sit there. I've done it. You know, you may sit there 2 months, kind of letting people know, hey, we got people here, but moving to there, right? And the chatter though is shifting from airstrikes, because it was supposed to be a 4 to 5 day airstrike campaign. Now it's potentially taking Karg Island. And that is Iran's oil artery, if you didn't know. You hit that, you're not just sending a message, you're kicking off something a lot bigger, okay? And then you got Lindsey Graham, Miss Lindsey, a South Carolina senator, I remind you, out here talking like he's the Secretary of War, calling for Marines to go in, take territory, escalate. Bro, since when did senators start deploying troops? Stay in your lane, Miss Lindsey. Listen to the man. He's gone completely bonkers. This is the new MAGA, by the way. Lindsey Graham is now the right-hand man to Donald Trump. He is the new MAGA. And I'm sorry, I cannot be anywhere near anyone who's close with Lindsey Graham.
Supporters of President Trump have said this does not need to continue.
Well, I'm telling you, what needs to continue is to make sure that the largest state sponsor of terrorism can't get a nuclear weapon to blow us all up and hold us hostage. To the American people, they were 2 weeks away from having 90% enriched uranium to make 10 bombs. They've got missiles that go 4,000 kilometers. We're not going to live that way anymore. Here's what I tell President Trump. Keep it up for a few more weeks. Take Karg Island, where all of the resources they have to produce oil. Control that island. Let this regime die on a vine.
Is this going to, though, take Karg Island? Is it going to involve U.S. troops on the ground? Let me just read you something from The Atlantic. Does an assessment on that. They say U.S. troops may well take Karg Island. We believe their ability to do so, but only to endure ballistic missile.
He said, I don't know yet. Of course, it's going to take troops on the ground.
Strikes, drone attacks, petrochemical smoke, all without a reliable means of obtaining logistical support. The result could be a grinding war of attrition.
So they'll be cut off. These Marines will be cut off from resupply.
And they talk about how far away they would be from resupply.
I'm sort of tired of all this armchair quarterback, and this has been an amazing military operation. God bless the fallen.
But it's a difference when we talk about troops on the ground.
I trust the Marines, not that guy. I don't know if you take the island or you blockade the island, but I know this. The day we control that island, this regime, this terrorist regime, has been weakened.
Even supporters of
Listen, I trust the Marines too. However, you can put anybody in a bad situation. You can go put Delta Force there. You can put DevGru. You can put any of the, it doesn't matter. You put people in a bad situation when you're talking about needing the logistical support, beans, bullets, and Band-Aids, it's going to be bad regardless. Air support, so on. They start taking massive casualties. from ballistic missiles. Who knows? So let me recap this insanity for this week. And it's only Monday, I remind you. Trump threatens massive strikes over the weekend. Iran calls his bluff. Trump pauses and says, we're negotiating. Iran says, who are you negotiating with? That's a lie. Troops are still moving into position. And we have politicians, military industrial complex puppets pushing for escalation anyway. You really cannot make this stuff up. I did not vote for this. I would have never imagined if you'd have told me last year that this is where the state of the country would be. It cost $85 to fill up my truck yesterday. And that's just me complaining. That's just me being a complainer. But that ain't what I voted for. It's not. I heard the mag and I posted this on Instagram. Please follow me on Instagram, dude. I'm putting the heat out over there. And X. Follow me on X. So I'm putting the heat over there. But I heard people stating to me, maybe they don't know me, but they said that you weren't saying this under Biden. The hell I wasn't. The hell I wasn't. Yes, I was. I just did not expect that Trump would do the same damn thing. I thought I was voting for something different. It doesn't matter. It still leads to the same pass. Big pharma, big military, the elites, big corporations getting richer while we're getting poorer. And our sons and daughters dying for foreign interest, not America first. I'm sorry. It's the same. The road leads to the same destination no matter which one you take. It's the same thing I heard happening in the 2000s. But again, the part nobody wants to say out loud is I believe what Trump's doing is just trying to buy time. Or maybe just controlling perception because, man, it's not going well. People are unhappy. The base is gone. There's a few boomers that are still hanging on because they believe they're going to get the Doge check still. But for the vast majority of us, we have abandoned ship. We've abandoned ship. Markets are screwed. Go look at your 401k. That thing has took a dump. Go fill up your tank. Oil through the roof. And let me tell you something. The second the Strait of Hormuz closes, everything's going to spike. And I mean everything. At a scale which you've never comprehended. You will be wishing to have Obama-era prices if they do this. And this is where it gets dangerous because when messaging doesn't match reality, that is when mistakes happen. And that is when miscalculations happen. And that's actually how wars start because they'll try to reframe the complete narrative. They'll start hitting hard. They will put American lives in danger. And let's be real about one thing. Look, I trust the Marines. I was one. Or still am, I guess. We say once a Marine, always a Marine. But I once served in the Marines. Nobody wants to see Marines going in that environment. Nobody. We've buried enough Americans over sand and oil. I'm sorry. And right now, what you have is conflicting narratives coming from your own administration, who a lot of people are still trusting for some reason. I don't know. The Epstein thing should have threw you off. Backing Lindsey Graham should have threw you off, but maybe you're still hanging on. But we have massive conflicting narratives now. We have military buildup. We have economic pressure that's only rising. And we have politicians pushing harder than the commanders themselves. That is one volatile mix, ladies and gentlemen. And when things don't make sense, that's usually when something big is about to happen. Stay frosty, stay strapped, stay dangerous. This is Blackscout Survival, and I'll see you in the next one.